Well, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Let's get you caught up on tonight's biggest stories.
This is the evening news on ABC13.
A cleanup effort underway tonight in North Dallas after a tornado carved a path of destruction through that area.
6 people were injured. Luckily, none of them seriously after wind speeds were clocked at 140 miles an hour. ABC13's Steve Campion is there with the cleanup.
We are talking about violent winds whipping around this tornado. Take a look at the damage here in the northern part of Dallas. You can see roofs are on the ground, utility lines are down, windows blown out. The one thing we heard time and time again from people out here, it was raining. All of a sudden their phone popped up an alert about a tornado and they went running.
But my husband found his wallet. That was some good news.
An EF3 tornado ripped through Dallas's Preston Hollow neighborhood. Those like Sally, who've called the area home for decades,
And looked out on a beautiful pool.
now must clean up and figure out what's next.
I think it's done.
This is her living room window, blown out. The concrete pillar thrown down.
I was worried about my husband because he was on this side of the house. So he was fine too. So we were all thankful.
We were watching the Cowboys game and she got an alert and we started walking downstairs and next thing you know, windows are blowing out and beams are falling and, you know, like a bomb went off.
Even getting to this street, Brookshire Circle, proved dicey. Trees litter the road. Power lines hover just feet from the ground. Cars can't be driven. Projectiles took them out.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. And this was apparently only an EF2. Maybe it was a 3. I don't know. Someone told me that, but you know, I mean, it can even be worse.
I was meeting up with a friend.
Charlotte Bartow's son survived the twister with stories they'll tell for a lifetime.
There was this one part where I was in there, and it sounded like a motorbike, just like a bad engine running. But most of the time, it just sounded like pounding on the roof and wind, and then you could hear snaps of trees and stuff.
And there was like a little bit of light shaking, and I could hear like kind of the wind, but it wasn't like incredibly violent. I could just faintly hear it, and so it's kind of like freaky. But I mean, it went quick.
It happened really fast. It came and then it disappeared. And we initially thought it was just the front window until we opened the front door and you could just see solid green. It was just tree all on the front porch.
Yeah, let's go this way.
Okay.
Jennifer Lavender and her son Wilson walked us into their home. Winds lifted part of her roof off and busted her daughter's bedroom window. Tonight, they can call themselves survivors.
When I came back today, someone asked me which house was mine, and I didn't even know which one it was. I couldn't recognize it with all the trees that were down, and I saw a corner of my car, and that's how I even knew it was my house. And that's when I really got emotional about it, because you're exactly right. It is stuff, and it's all replaceable, and my family is safe. But it is hard to look at something that you've put a lot of your heart into and see it just torn up like that so quickly.
It was really loud. When the house started shaking, it felt like I was in, I don't know, like, it was shaking a lot.
It came and disappeared. You heard how that one woman described this storm. Take a look. This is somebody's ceiling. Looking at this damage, it's remarkable to think that everyone survived this storm. There are no reports of any deaths here in Dallas. Steve Campion, 13 Eyewitness News.
Certainly, our thoughts are with everybody there as they try to clean all that up. Well, now to our coverage of the Astros World Series run. The team is preparing for the biggest stage in baseball.
And today is World Series Media Day at Minute Maid Park. ABC13 Sports Director Greg Bailey is at the stadium.
At World Series Media Day, yet one more reason that everybody loves Jose Altuve. Just 2 days removed from one of the most dramatic game-winning home runs in the history of the Major League postseason, Altuve tells us he wants zero credit for any of it. Instead, he reminds us that George Springer got on base ahead of him to set up that game-winning home run. He also mentioned Michael Brantley's diving catch and double play ball that really keyed the Astros win late. Well on his way to the Hall of Fame, Altuve also the most humble superstar in all of sports. He told me he really enjoyed sharing that moment with his great teammates with the city of Houston and a certain number 99 who plays for the Texans, and reached out to congratulate his friend.
I actually heard from a lot of people, J.J. Watt, everybody.
JJ's your guy, man. What'd that mean?
He's my guy, man. He's always supporting me. Obviously, right now it's a really hard time to be, communicated with fans because, we're in the middle of playoff and we know how hard it is. Every time I came, I just want to say thank you to them and, let them know how big part of our success they are.
In so many ways, Jose Altuve keys everything that this Astros team does. They will be ready for Game 1 of the World Series here tomorrow night. At Minute Maid Park, Greg Bailey, ABC 13 Eyewitness Sports.
And a man walks into a church with a loaded gun, all while his sister watches in disbelief.
Police say that he was armed, locked and loaded, but this situation did not end in violence, thankfully. ABC 13 reporter Maya Shea shows us how this all went down.
This is Juan Antonio Rodriguez, accused of bringing a gun to Iglesia de Cristo Church of Christ Sunday afternoon and threatening to shoot the 20 people inside. Listen to prosecutors during his initial court appearance.
Stating there was at least 20 people in the church when the defendant entered and pointed a pistol at him and other people in the church, and they were all afraid he was going to shoot and kill all of them.
Miraculously, Rodriguez walked out of the church without firing a shot. At this point, his sister had already called police. Records show Rodriguez then walked down the street to this Raceway gas station where he flashed the gun to at least 2 clerks. Customers were not amused.
I think people like that are stupid. I know Texas, you guys have, it's legal for people to be carrying their guns around here, but at the same time, it's kind of ridiculous.
Fortunately, Houston police arrived within minutes at this gas station and arrested Rodriguez. And they found more than just a gun.
Found he had a fixed blade knife and a .22 caliber pistol in his waistband, as well as a folding pocket knife in his pocket.
Today, Rodriguez remains in jail, while those in the neighborhood are just glad no shots were fired.
You're at church. What were your intentions to go to church with a gun? So I know you didn't pull the trigger, but still, you're nervous. You put your family through a bad experience.
That was our Maya Shea reporting right there. So the good news also with our weather, lower temps moving in right now.
Yes, a beautiful evening ahead. Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Travis Herzog.
It feels amazing outside, and we've been enjoying a beautiful Astros orange sunset in southeast Texas. We're losing it now, but you can still see some of the brilliant hues that we've been enjoying over the past 30 minutes. The temperature is starting to fall off as well. It's now 73 in Houston, 74 in Galveston. A north wind will continue to dry out the atmosphere through the night. That means a chilly start to the day. You'll want the jacket around sunrise, with temperatures in the low to mid 50s around Houston, Harris County. Might even get a few spots in the 40s from LaGrange to Brenham towards Navasota, Huntsville, New Waverly, over towards Cold Spring and Woodville. 52 tonight in Liberty, 64 meanwhile in Galveston, and 54 degrees out to the west in Angleton. Temperatures will be dropping down, or rather climbing to the upper 70s tomorrow, and that's under a full sunny sky. It's going to feel fantastic. Now, the messy weather we had on Monday morning, that's moving out and away, and that's the front, and that buys us a couple of days of just a clear, wide open sky over the great state of Texas. High pressure rolls in, keeps our wind blowing gently out of the northeast tomorrow. Then it slides off to the east on Wednesday, allowing Gulf moisture to start creeping back in ahead of our next front. This cold front is backed by some colder Canadian air than the current front we're enjoying, which means colder temperatures in the forecast for the weekend. Perhaps our first morning low in the 40s for Houston coming up by Sunday. This front will be a slow mover. It gets into Texas on Thursday morning, but doesn't reach us until about 24 hours later, and that could be another messy front. So Friday, we've got a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms. Right now, we think the front hits probably before sunrise, which would keep our temperatures in the 60s for the day. And then once that weather system clears out, we get a beautiful sunny weekend, highs in the 70s, but look at those chilly mornings, down to 52 Saturday, 48 on Sunday. Yet another front looks to arrive around Wednesday of next week, and if that timing holds, that'd be perfect timing for trick-or-treaters, as it would clear out the sky again and bring back more beautiful fall weather. Let's get the latest now on traffic with Bree Berry. The Astros rolling into town with the World Series. That means a lot of closures on the way.
That does. Lots of closures, lots of traffic in the afternoon, and all those updates are on ABC13.com for any information and the best ways to travel downtown at the cheapest price. Always looking for those cheap prices, especially if you're going to the game. Those tickets were not cheap. A construction project here on 225 eastbound and westbound. This will be from Bellway 8 to Highway 146. This will affect 2 lanes. It is nightly, 8 p.m. in the evening until 5 a.m. This will go all week long through Friday. Another place that we have construction, 288 southbound. This will be from Dixie Drive to Yellowstone. This will affect 3 lanes, sure to cause some of those slowdowns from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. This one, though, going much longer than just Friday. This is until November 3rd. So you'll be seeing this reminder quite often from us here in the traffic center. Your alternate will be Alameda Road. And again, for any of your information, if you're heading downtown, maybe you are one of those lucky people going to watch Game 1 of the World Series to cheer on the Astros. All of that information is on abc13.com/traffic, including a promo code you can use if you're using Lyft to get some of those free rides as you're headed downtown. And of course, go Stros.
Of course, Bree, thank you so much. All right, now let's get to a story that has angered so many viewers. A 15-year-old was laid to rest today, a victim of sex trafficking who took her own life.
Law enforcement has had struggles when trying to prosecute suspects in these types of cases. ABC 13 reporter Tom Abrams has a story.
Letty Serrano died on October 12th. Her young life, certainly a story that people all across the country have talked about, and now that conversation is getting louder. HPD, in fact, has said they are reopening the investigation into her initial disappearance 2 years ago.
She was taken by an older man, and she was drugged. Her story is that, she was abused by different men.
Letty Serrano was 15 when she killed herself. Today, her family buried her knowing she couldn't live with herself after what happened in 2017. Her godmother told us the community failed her. Rania Mancarios of Crime Stoppers of Houston agrees.
Her death falls on us as a community. This cannot be happening in Harris County.
But it is happening. Tens of thousands of girls and women trafficked for their bodies, sold for sex. Letty's family hoped sharing her story would spark an awakening. It might have done just that.
It's 100% our job to help these girls.
Everybody in law enforcement is trying to do their part to try to stamp this horrible, horrible crime out.
Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen says the crime is so prevalent, his office is doing unique work to combat it. They interview all prostitution arrests to determine if they're being trafficked. They don't want to imprison someone who's a victim. They help with the legal process. They offer counseling and provide transportation. They follow them through the process of getting back to normal. Rosen also agrees that laws against traffickers should be tougher, more of a deterrent. Letty's alleged abuser, who we are not naming because he's not been charged in her exploitation, has been in and out of jail but never connected to trafficking.
In some cases, these human beings are being treated worse than some animal abusers. I've seen everything.
As far as that conversation goes, we know that those from law enforcement, the criminal justice system, and crime justice advocates will be holding a press conference tomorrow morning to discuss what they can do to help other girls so their fate isn't like Letty's. Reporting from near downtown, Tom Abrams, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
And that does it for us. Thank you for getting caught up with us on the evening news.
Be sure to join us tonight at 10 on ABC 13. Good night.